one and all, and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. My name is Mitch Pattinson, and as always, we're joined by Ethan Duffy. And as you can probably see on the video today, we obviously have some new cameras today, so hopefully the quality of the video is a little bit better for the podcast. But first things first, Duffy boy, we are previewing the North Melbourne v Carlton game, Good Friday this week, which has gone absolutely insanely quick. Round 3, Friday 29th of March, 4:20 p.m. at Marvel Stadium. But first things first, Daft Boy, how are you?
No, I'm good, mate. Obviously, we got the whole new camera setup. We're obviously going to figure that out through experience over the next few episodes. So it'll be take a little while to get used to because we were used to looking at our laptop camera, and obviously we've got our cameras above us. But now I'm feeling good, mate. Feels like we haven't, Carlton hasn't played for about 5 years. It feels like the gap, the break's been long, but I think the break's going to be good for our group, and we know how important it's for the group rather than for our personal satisfaction of playing every week.
Yep, exactly right. How's the buy round been, mate? It's probably been, well, for my I guess perspective, it's been a little bit like not really worrying about Carlton Football Club, so it's been actually quite nice on the eye. But how about you, mate? How was the buy round? It feels like a while since we've done a episode, which is a little bit. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like a little bit rusty in the voice. But how are you feeling, mate, after the buy round?
No, I'm good. Obviously, still watched my fair share of footy over the weekend. Always good to see Essendon, Richmond, and Collingwood lose. So that's always a positive of the weekend. Richmond and Collingwood being 0-3. Hopefully, both heading to 0-4. I'd imagine Richmond will be, but I know Collingwood are got a big test on Thursday night. But yeah, pretty chill weekend. It's weird not thinking about Carlton. It's good not to worry about a loss. So we head into North Melbourne with I think a fair bit of confidence.
Yep. And we've gone another round with being undefeated. So we now move into round 3, and we're still classified as undefeated. So it's absolutely fantastic. But we're going to move straight into a Daffy Boy, and we're going to start off with the potential inclusions for the clash, Good Friday clash. And this was, of course, last updated on the 19th of March, 2024. So we're going to, we are obviously recording this on the 25th, and we're going to release this on the 26th, which is the Tuesday morning. So we're going to. It's pretty much just a guess because obviously with the news that is going to come out before Friday, I'm sure we will get an update on Sam Walsh and Caleb Marchbank. But the other three names that we're about to touch on is obviously we've heard news about it, but it's still quite uncertain. So the first name that we're going to start off with is Jesse Motlop, which is obviously still a test. So he should well and truly be available for the clash against the Kangaroos. The next name, Jacob Wiedering, and a return to footy this week seems very likely. So that's good to see Wieders returning to some sort of football this weekend. You would expect that to be senior football. Jack Martin, 1 week. And how many times have we seen that, David Boy? 1 week away for Jack Martin. But that was obviously from the 19th of March. So after that, I don't know if that's changed or not. Let's hope that he is available for North Melbourne, even as a sub. If he could actually be a sub option. And the last two names, obviously, as we've mentioned, are Sam Walsh and Caleb Marchbank. They are still to be continued. And more news, I'm sure, will come out over the coming days. But Dave Boy, out of those four, I guess 5 names, I think Caleb Marchbank is kind of a ruled out for the clash this week. But Sam Walsh we don't know much about it, which is kind of annoying. But those 5 names, Dave Boy, who is the most important out of those?
Yeah, it's I think it's a positive kind of injury list, in my opinion, in terms of getting bodies back, especially for this weekend and in the weeks to come. We don't really have long term, apart from obviously Doc and Jack Silvani, who are obviously key parts of the team. But apart from that, it's been, touchwood, fairly decent. But yeah, I'll just go down the list. I think Motlop will be, if he's right to go, I think he'll be in the side this weekend. He just brings something different, and I forget he's only 20 years old, man.
It's crazy.
I was looking the other, I was like, he's 20. I thought he might have been 21. He's only 20, so he's got a long footy career ahead of him. And then he obviously the key pillar down back with Wiedering, obviously coming back from a calf. He's been in a few of the social media posts. They're kind of chucking him in the posts, I reckon. Little secret, just get the fans excited, which is always good to see. And yeah, he'll be in for sure, I think, this week. Touch wood again. But Jack Martin, Oh, I think he will probably be another week as you put on the run sheet there. I don't think he's a rush to come back in, but I think for me with Jack Martin, I think once he's fit, I think he has to come in. I think he's one of those guys you can't really risk him playing twos and getting injured. So no, it'll be good for him to come in the next couple of weeks. And then obviously, yeah, Walshy and Marchie, their timelines aren't particularly set at the moment, but I think I'm thinking pretty positively about Walshy in particular. I think there was a lot of reports saying that he was, going to require more surgery, which was, Michael Voss after the Richmond game said that wasn't true at all. So fingers crossed for him because he's an important player, but just for him and his mental health and all that type of stuff. I know he wants to be getting out there and playing. So, and Marchie's an interesting one. He must be really sick. So, hopefully he's back soon. We need that kind of depth there, but I think we look okay in terms of our depth for this week and the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, really well said. So out of those five names, I mean, I guess probably the two names that is the most important is obviously Weeders and Sam Walsh, and that's all due respect to Motlop, Martin, and Marchbank. But I just think in terms of structure and obviously having your vice captain out of the side, it's pretty, yeah. Kind of think about it and be like, well, Cripper is the only vice cap, is the only leader out there because you've got, I mean, Charlie Curnow as well, but he's been obviously, he's been upgraded to vice captaincy this year, but. Yeah, you miss Walsh in Wiedering out there, and you can actually see the amount of you notice them not being out there. I mean, I don't know about you, but just like in terms of Walsh with his run and Witters with his leadership down back, you do notice that. And we said it before we press record, and I think with the with Carlton and Richmond last week, I think we would have won by a lot more if Witters was playing. So out of those five names, Daff, who would you say is the most, I guess, crucial and most important player that hopefully can come back into the side, hopefully this week against the Kangaroos?
Yeah, I think for me, not just for this clash, but I think in total, if we want to win the premiership or push for a premiership and deep into finals this year, I think Jacob Wiedering is the guy.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, he fits our mould and the way we play perfectly in terms of, well, our intercept game has always been good, but our intercept leading to score has always been an issue. In the first 2 weeks of the season, we've been very, very good at it. It's been a massive knock on our game the last few years that we're only a stoppage-based team. And I think we've won games off our actual transition and scoring off turnover. And I don't think our stoppage game's been that good the first 2 weeks. I think we've actually been beaten the first couple of weeks. Obviously, that third quarter against the Lions was a big, stoppage based kind of. But there was a lot of turnovers in that sense. But I think the Tigers beat us in the middle last week, so that's a great sign because we know we've got the stoppage game to beat a lot of teams, and I think we can do that this week. So yeah, I think, Weeder's so important to us. His ball use is fantastic. I think that's just what separates him from a lot of defenders in the league, not just Lewis Young. I think it's being able to take that mark and then go and make a decision, which he's really good at, especially in that second half of last year. He really helped us kind of springboard from defense to offense. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing him. And like you said, it's a bit of a calm breath when he's in defense. I think our defense has been actually really, really good without him. I think they were kind of starting to, they were really gelling well. And I think with Lewis Young and Kempy and guys like that, who were playing really, really good footy. So credit to them for the last 2 weeks. But I think Wiedering has to come in.
Yeah, I think with Lewis Young as well, we were speaking about it earlier on as well today, and he's a really good depth player. Like I think in terms of a key defender, I think he's great to have there as like a key option and a depth option, of course. But if that's your key defender, you kind of do worry about it sometimes, and that's why you need to give credit where it's due. And I think he's well and truly lived up to, I guess, the pressure. Like he had a lot of pressure, and it's probably the most important role on the field. And for him to, like, there's a lot of people that say, I mean, I'm included. Like, I think he messes up, but he also does some other things. Like last week, he got 17 touches, and I think he got 91 or 92 disposal efficiency, and he kicked the ball like 13 or 14 times. So he's using his disposals by foot, and he's being effective as well. So, but yeah, I mean, as we said, those injuries were the 19th of March this year. So we obviously are a little bit unsure with with the episode coming out Tuesday morning, I'm sure there will be a lot more news coming out over the next coming days. So make sure to keep a watch out for that for all the viewers out there. But we're going to move straight into the ins and outs stuff where we actually missed the ins and outs in our preview for the Tigers game.
I was thinking that. I was thinking that today. Because I usually on my notes on my laptop, I usually put the ins and outs, and we put the first. We didn't have the first week because we didn't have ins and outs, obviously, because first game. So you kind of forget it. That's probably what we did. But anyway, back into it.
Yeah, but well, I mean, I'll throw it straight back to you like a 4 down the line, mate. I know that I used that a lot last year in terms of the personal analogy, but inside internet, I always said inside out 4 Daft Boy. I'll be with the coaching mode. Ins and outs, Daft Boy. Who have you got? And make sure to name your sub because now it's a big talking point. The sub as well.
Yeah, I thought about it probably 2 hours ago. The selection, I was thinking in my mind that it was going to be really hard, but I've found easy kind of swaps in a sense. I've got 3 changes to our Richmond side. I'll start off with the easy one with I'll go the outs first. I'll go Lewis Young out. I got Matt Kennedy coming out of the side, and I've also got Orazio Fantasia out of the side. My ins are Elijah Hollins, Jesse Mollop, and Jacob Wiedering, obviously, as I touched on before. But my another out would be Corey Durden, as he was the sub. He's not in my side. And my sub, well, I guess I said I dropped him, but he's the sub. He's been dropped to the sub, and it's going to be Matt Kennedy. I think he can fill a couple of roles in terms of he can go forward if someone goes down, or if a midfielder goes down, he can just join straight into that midfield rotation. So, yeah, those are my 3 changes. I think Elijah's form in pre-season was phenomenal. I would have loved him to play the first 2 games. I think it was something we kind of missed in the first couple of games. I don't know. I think our forwards were okay, but and I think Orazio, he didn't struggle last week, but he didn't really have an impact on the game in terms of, goals, and he had a few opportunities as well. So I think he just comes out. I think he needs a good run at VFL level. I think in terms of his body continuity, he hasn't had that for 2-3 years, and sometimes you might need to just break from the first side, and then he can come in with good form. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think Hollins has been breaking down the door. And I think he has to come to the side. He's had the 2-week break. He's going to be fresh. And, we were talking about his ball use is quite tasty. So, yeah, that's my selection.
Quite tasty, Daft Boy. Love love the word you say, mate. Now I've got a question. This always confuses me. And I'm sure the viewers would be being like, mate, how does this guy not know that? When it comes to the ins and outs, so when it's a sub, so I've got 2 changes right now, but one of them is Durden. So I've got 3 outs and 2 ins. Is that right? If Durden,
yes, yeah. So you got 3 outs, 2 ins, yeah.
3 outs.
So I've got 4 outs and 3 ins.
3 ins, yeah, cool. So I'll start off with the outs is probably not really as I guess like it is a bit of a surprise. I mean, I'm not too sure, but with what I see, I reckon this is what probably will happen, and it's just because of this one player who obviously is playing a lot more mid-time, and I'm really surprised by it, and hopefully he can really get his opportunity as a midfielder. But Lewis Young out, Corey Durden out, Matt Cottrell out. I've got Cotters out, and reasoning for that, Carroll is obviously going to play hopefully as a mid. And obviously plays that dock role and can obviously play some wing minutes as well. And I would love to see David Cunningham on the ball. Like there's something about it, and I think the changes we have, and you can have Fogg as that half forward and then rotating. I reckon it's going to happen. But also inside of me knows that probably is going to be wrong because Matt Cottrell is so highly rated inside the Carlton.
Yeah,
and we all know how highly rated he is from Michael Voss. Like he's at the end of the day, like he's the guy that makes the makes the selections. And I can guarantee if I was doing the selections, we would be bloody relegated to the fucking VFL, mate. So, but the ins, of course, is pretty obvious, and it's Jacob Wiedering and Jesse Motlop brought in. But so my sub is going to be Cottrell.
Okay. Yep.
So I think that's a good. I think in terms of a sub that can play multiple roles, now that I think about it, I think Kennedy is a really good option. And I just think that Cottrell, if you bring him on probably fourth quarter, and he needs some run, especially at Marvel Stadium, I think he's going to be a great option. And also he can play anywhere. So even in the VFL last year, he was playing a half back. So there's a lot of roles that he can fill. And I've always liked Cottrell. And I think I would love the club to try and use the sub as more of a tactic, like actually be serious about it. I'm sure all clubs are, but you can actually use it as like, all right, well, he's probably our best runner at the club. You can bring him off even halftime. Like if we think that Matt Kennedy is probably a bit of a liability through the half forward mid range because we're too slow with Cripper, Hewitt, and Kennedy, maybe we bring Cottrell on to be that wing rotation, and then you bring Ollie Hollands on the ball. Like there's a lot of options that you can do, and that's my thinking. I don't want Cottrell to be dropped altogether. I would love to see Cottrell be a sub. But yeah, I mean, like it's good that we have a lot of options for the sub and obviously for the side. But now we're going to move on to the opposition watch, which is obviously a segment that we've brought into season 2024, and we kind of focus more on the opposition and who was a threat. Now, first things first, Daft Boy, we're going to start off with the back line for the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Who have you got as an opposition watch?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. The Kangaroos this year they're an interesting side in terms of their defence. They've got a lot of new names. Now, obviously, they got big Toby Pink playing that key defender role. I thought he competed really well against Freo the other day. I think he was in the Sanford team of the year, which is not an easy thing to do. But yeah, he's come in for North, played all right. But for me, I think it's actually it's going to be a mix of two blokes. So I think they play the exact same way, and they're both absolute guns. And I think it's going to be Harry Sheasel and Colby McKercher. I think McKercher was calming his teammates down like he's played 200 games last week. His second game, and he was taking kick outs, and he's a beautiful kick of the footy. So I think for us to really minimise his impact, we can't be giving him the easy out of halfback. Guys like him and Sheasel. And I'll focus on McKercher because I rate him very highly. I think he was like pick 2 or pick 3 in the draft. And he's taken the kick outs. And I think in past our defending kick outs wasn't our strength, I think, in terms not this year, but in years prior, and it's hurt us, guys like Jack Sinclair for St Kilda or, Brad Hills or whoever in the past for other teams have hurt us coming out of half back, and it just costs us if they have over 30 touches and easy touches at that. So yeah, I think my focus is going to be on McKercher, but also a guy like Sheasel.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. I was thinking McKercher, and I'm like, I mean, he's obviously a fantastic player, and was he pick 2? Is it what you said?
Oh, he was
3?
pick 3, 4, something.
Yeah.
He was top 4.
Yeah, so like it was obviously a very highly talented draft, and he's a freak. He's in my Supercoach team, and I'm so grateful that I picked him because he's one of the best halfbacks, and he's played 2 or 3 games, and well, he's not one of the best halfbacks, but he has the potential to get there very. So now I've gone with Harry Sheasel out of the halfback. I was actually thinking about going with Zach Fisher because I don't know if you'll watch the game against Fremantle, and he probably would want to have a bit of a redemption game, like just being like, you know what, like I'm probably better than what you guys thought I was, and it would actually be, I mean, it would be weird to see Fisher in the Kangaroos colours, but so I've gone with Harry Sheasel in the back line. We're going to move to the midfield now, and who is your opposition watch, Daffy for the midfield?
Well, I think he was one of their best. I watched the first half really closely for North. They played a ripper first half, especially their mids. They're absolutely all over them. They should have won the game, in my opinion. That third quarter just reminded me of a Carlton collapse when we were terrible. So for me, it's a guy I think he goes under the radar, and I think it's Tom Powell. And I think he was superb on the weekend. He kicked 2 goals. He had 28. How many 8 clearances? He was almost their best. Obviously, She's like 35, but that's half the time it's kick outs, and LDU had 30. But I think Tom Power is very, very good, and I don't think we can take them lightly in the midfield. I think they've got enough, talent to give us a bit of a fright, or well, a fright. I'm not sure George Hewitt's going to be shaking in his boots, but you know, but no, with Powell, I think he's a solid player, and he's a perfect guy for their, where they're at right now. He's a young guy. I think he's 22, 23, and goes under the radar compared to their other pickups. So, yeah, for me, I think he's the focus, but also they've got, LDUs and Simpkins, which you might touch on.
Yeah, no, you took the words out of my mouth. LDU is by far the biggest opposition watching the midfield. Watching him on the weekend, like, especially under Marvel, I think it suits his game very well. And just the way that he played, I think it's very much Cripper-like, but I think he has a bit better ball use than Cripper. In my
Yeah,
opinion, I think that might be a little bit like, there might be a few people that might be a little bit like, whoa, 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 but like, it's just what I see. And I think if you're a little bit unbiased towards the players, I think LDU definitely has a very high ceiling, and I think he's well and truly, if North Melbourne get better, I think he's a high shout for a Brownlow medal. But we're now going to move into the forward line, Daffy Boy, and I'm quite certain and quite confident to hear your name, because hear the name that you've got, because there's one guy down there and he does scare me.
yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I'm actually going to go
Oh,
for Cam Zerha. I think he's in great form to start the season.
yeah,
He had a few times where he went in the midfield, especially in the second or third. Well, no, the last quarter when they needed to get going, he was winning a few clearances. I think he had 3 or 4 clearances for the game. He wasn't in there long, so
yeah,
yeah, I think he's just dangerous. He's that kind of mid-sized forward that you don't really know who to take. Like, I think we've got a few guys who can take him, where it's Newman or even Gov or whoever. But I think teams really struggle on who do we actually get to pick him up, because he's not like a tall forward, but he's not small at all. I think he's like 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", and I think him and Larky are a really good 1-2 punch. So, yeah, he's one to watch out. He always kicks a couple against us, I think. So, let's just give him a donut and give Larky a donut as well. That'd be good.
yeah. Question for that. So I know that last year we were doing a bit more of the key matchups. We would touch on a backline, midfield, and forward
Yeah,
matchup. Who goes to Larky? Sorry, who? I mean, Larky obviously would probably be Wienering or Young, but who goes
yeah,
to
yeah.
Zerha, in your opinion?
Oh, it's a tough one. I think Newman.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
Newman. I think that frees up Gov to take on. Well, look at their lineup now.
Like
In
there's
terms of
like there's like a Stevenson and
got
Common James.
Zane
Like,
Dersma. Oh, Coleman Jones. Fuck.
yeah,
Yeah, so there could be a few matchup. I don't know if there's going to be issues, but
no,
they've got other guys that I think Gov can go to. But yeah, I think for me, Newey can just play that lockdown role and hurt him on the other side as well. I think you got to force guys like Zerha and even Suvlaki. You got to make them defend. So
Mhm.
that's a huge kind of thing in my opinion.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, so I'm going to move straight on to my forward option for the opposition watch, and I think it's going to be the other, obviously the key forward, forward threat down there, and I think it's going to be Nick Larkey. He's obviously quite a threat for most AFL clubs, and even if Jacob Weitering does come back, of course, it's going to help us a lot more with him going up against Nick Larkey. But his set shot kicking is something that we haven't seen in probably about 25 years, and it's so consistent. And even on the
Yep.
weekend, like watching that game, he has he had a set shot, I think like 25 or 30 meters out on a slight angle, and most right footers would probably miss that, but he just goes back and slots, and I'm like, he does that consistently as well. So, okay, David Boys, for the match predictions, mate. I need your bagger of the game, point of
Yep.
difference, and your winner plus margin. Who have you got for the Kangaroos this week?
Yeah, it's North Melbourne. When I think of North Melbourne, when we play North Melbourne, it doesn't bring too many fantastic memories. Probably over the last decade, probably past the last 2 times we've beat them. It hasn't necessarily been the most fun heading down to Marvel and playing them. I don't know. There's something about North Melbourne that I don't know, just something that just doesn't give me much confidence. But I think now I kind of steer past that PTSD and past examples of us shitting the bed against North Melbourne. But I think for me, I think our best on. I'm saying that this guy, I may, he might be my favourite player. It might be the bias, but Harry Mackay is going to be best on again. He's going to be best on again, and he's going to kick 5 goals at under the dome. 5 goals, one. He'll miss one late in the game, and it doesn't matter. But he'll kick 5 straight and let the whole world know he's still here. But he loves playing under the dome, Harry. So, and I think he can really exploit their defenders. And I'm not trying to underrate their defenders, but Jesus, like Aiden Core and Toby Pink are their 2 keys. And then they've got Callan Dawson as well down there. I think he plays that key as well, but it's just going to be very interesting. I'm not going to say anything to jinx or anyone can clip this or whatever if we lose to North Melbourne, but I think Harry Mackay's going to have a ripper. Point of difference, he came into the side through my selection, and it's going to be Elijah Hollins. I think he hit the ground running in pre-season. He's under the radar because he hasn't played the first 2 weeks. I think a lot of players who haven't played, I think even, Jack Martins and guys like that have flown under the radar. We now wins. A lot of these fans are going, oh, they should have beat Richmond one more. Da, da, da. We didn't have a full siding. Didn't have a full siding. You can say all the Richmond injuries you like, but didn't have a full siding. And Elijah's going to be our point of difference. He's going to kick a snag early in the game. The boys will get around him, and that'll set the tone for the game. Remember that as it happens on Friday. Game prediction for me. I could have been really outlandish with the margin. I really could have been, and I think we can be. It could be a big win if we get going. If we play our brand for a majority of the game. But I think we'll win by 44 points, but a convincing 44. You were thinking I was about to say 444. But I think it's going to be a 44 where we've got our feet up at halftime. I hope so. But North, they gave it a crack last weekend. I'm sure they'll give it a crack early in the game, and we'll have to see if we can weather that kind of storm.
The reason why I reacted is because my winner pass margin is very similar to that. It is like literally. Is he going to say the same thing? Just a reminder to all the viewers: we don't tell each other the match predictions for our sort of reactions. So, we do the back of the game, point of difference, winner pass margin on our own, and then we obviously do on the episode. But I am regretting the ins and outs by the minute because hearing Elijah Hollins kicking his first goal on Good Friday footy, it actually, I'm starting to get a little bit. I don't know if I can make a late change or something, but I do a late change in the ins and outs. But I don't think I can really do that to the viewers. But no, I'm going to get on to my match predictions and my bagger of the game. It is probably starting to become one of my favorite players, Georgie fucking Hewitt, mate. He's starting to become a cold hero. I think he already is a cold hero, but he's just one of my favorite players. And as we always say, I think he always is brought up in the episodes, and he just gets the job done. That's all he needs. So I'm thinking probably 27 touches. I reckon he's going to snag a goal. Probably one of the first goals in the match. I reckon he's going to get the Blue Baggers up and about with our
He'll pick the one after Elijah.
Yeah. God, I'm even regretting it even more, mate. Because then you see fucking Elijah kick a goal and then Georgie Hewitt, and I'll be like, watching it, I'll be like, why did I pick him in the ins and outs? Point of difference. Now, I'm going to explain my reasoning for this. Tom DeConning, point of difference. Now, reason for that, Tristan Cherry, he's solid. He's a solid ruckman, but, I mean, is he really good enough for the big Tom DeConning? Like, let's be real. No. Well and truly honest right now. Is he really up to it? This is going to be a big game for him, but I think it's even a bigger game for TDK because he's obviously versed the Nank last week, and the week before he versed obviously like Oscar McInerney, who is a very, very established ruckman. Now, Cherry has obviously been brought in to the North Melbourne Kangaroos as obviously like Todd Goldstein's been moved out of the club essentially just because we want to try and give Cherry his first go like as a sole ruckman, and I think there's no better way for TDK to come in and really show. I mean, Cherry's an awesome ruckman, don't get me wrong, but I think it's going to be a good way to really try and get up and about, and it's probably the first time this year that he's probably had the upper hand just a little bit, and I don't know if that is a little bit biased towards Carlton, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
one point of difference is going to be Tom DeConning. Now, my winner plus margin,
Oh, here we
up
go.
by 43 points. So I got 43 points, and I was like, because I was looking at it, I'm like, nah, he won't say 43. I reckon he might go like 25 to 30. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
40. And he said, and I'm like, wait, hold up. So yeah, I reckon the Carlton Football Club is going to win by 43 points. But as you said, it can be a hell of a lot more than that. So
Yeah,
just like, I reckon we're being quite
yeah.
easy about it. Like, we're not being too harsh about it. So I well and truly believe that this club can really blow the Kangaroos out. And I think a bit like the Fremantle Dockers on the weekend, I think they obviously didn't really start the best, but as soon as they got going, they got going. And North Melbourne stopped them eventually. So if they didn't stop them, and I don't think Fremantle are that good. I think we're a lot better than
No,
Fremantle. So
yeah,
if we can
I
really
agree.
get going, it's going to be hard to stop. And as you said, under the marble roof for a Good Friday clash. And I know that it's a North Melbourne home game, but I think there will most likely be more Carlton supporters there than North Melbourne. But obviously, no disrespect to the North Melbourne footballers, supporters out there. But yes, that's all we have for the run sheet to all the viewers out there. But Daffy Boy, before we wrap up the episode, is there anything else you would like to touch on before we move on to Good Friday footy?
Yeah, I just to touch on the whole kind of game and event of the Good Friday. Obviously it's a Good Friday appeal. I think it's a fantastic cause. I think it's one of the better games like I've seen in terms of charities and stuff like that. Like I think it's a really they do it perfectly. That's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say. Like I think they do it really well with they got the families of the sick children running out through the banner. I thought that was great last year. To see that and the players go through the same banner and stuff like that. So I think it's a really, really good cause. And I think we'll chuck a link in the description for Good Friday and donating to that. So I think Carlton have got a few items actually on auction. A few of the players have found some stuff from their own personal, from might be old boots or old jumpers or whatever, and they're putting that up for sale. So make sure you get onto that and bid a fair bit of cash because it's a really, really good cause. And yeah, sometimes I know we love our footy, but sometimes there's more to life than footy.
Yeah, no, really well said, actually. I think it's a good thing to always touch on. And it's good being a part of these marquee games because like it's
Yeah,
obviously been like quite fresh this Good Friday footy. And even as
yeah,
a couple of years ago, we were like, I think Good Friday footy was always a thing that we would love to see at the AFL. And I think ever since they brought it in, I think they started with North and Essendon even, and then they
yeah,
moved to Dogs, even St Kilda at one stage. I don't know if I'm wrong by that. And then obviously they moved to a big serious club in Carlton to try and
yeah.
get some relevancy about the Good Friday footy. But I mean, like, let's be real. I think it's like as you said, then like it's an AFL game, of course, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot more to do with the Royal Children's Hospital. And make sure to all the viewers out there, make sure to, if you do have any spare cents, I'm sure every dollar would help them to try and just really find like a bit more of these kids that are dying every single day, trying to really slow that down and slow the rate down because it's unbelievable how much they have to suffer for a young age. And I mean, we're obviously still young, and I'm sure that we both want to have kids in the future. And I think it's going to be
Yeah.
that's something that we don't want to have happen to our kids at all in the future. And hopefully we can try and make a change to that with donating to this Good Friday appeal. I don't know about you, Duff Boy, but I've tried to donate as much as possible. So, no, like, well said to you. But yeah, we want to try and focus more about the Blue Baggers this week. But it's always good to be a part of these games because obviously, as you said, it's a lot more than football. So, to every single Blue Bagger out there, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to every single platform you see us on. Make sure to also get around the socials as well. I know the Duff Boy's been doing a lot of their designs on there, which have been absolutely fantastic. So make sure to give some love on the socials there. But yeah, to you, Duff Boy, and to every single Blue Bagger out there, up the Baggers!
Come on.